I should probably begin the video by letting you guys know that there's a trigger warning here, there's going to be a lot of transphobia talked about, so let's go ahead and get right into things. Intro, do your thing. Alright everybody, if you're new to my channel, go ahead and hit the subscribe button, and if you're not new, then you already know what we're going to be getting into first, and that is the fan art. So first of all, we have a Magical Girl Suris by Bumblin' Bee, then we have a Rule 63 Suris by Me and the Nomies, and finally we have a Doggo Suris by the Dragon Lord 2006. As always, thank you all for your fan art submissions, and let's get right into today's video.
This is Danica, and I am her mother. I gave her the name Danica for a reason. You will address her as Danica, or you will not address her at all. If you cannot follow her mother's instructions, you will be removed out of her life. Do you understand that? That goes for every single friend she has. Her name is Danica, not Alex. I am done with this.
Now, the video that you just saw and many videos like that have been posted over various social media of the mother of a trans minor named Alex. Now, as with many trans individuals, Alex was not their given name by the mother, but that doesn't matter. Once you decide what your name is, that is the name you identify with. Your original name is considered your dead name. That is not the name you associate with yourself anymore. And for many trans people, especially those early on in their journey, being referred to by your dead name can increase dysphoria, which can increase anxiety, which also statistically can lead to higher rates of suicide. Prior to this, Alex had been gaining a steady following on an app called TikTok, an app that I also just started on recently, but that's not the important thing about this video. The important thing is that the mother, instead of being supportive of her son, decided that eventually she had had enough, and decided to assume for herself that her child was engaging in deluded fantasies, and then decided to take it upon herself to destroy multiple social media accounts of her son, and then take over the ones that she didn't destroy, before potentially destroying those as well. Transitioning is already an incredibly hard journey, not only because if you decide to medically transition, that's going to come with all of its own hoops and hurdles, but just in general, the societal expectations for people are still locked in a very hard gender paradigm. If you do anything to break out of that gendered paradigm, you will inevitably encounter a lot of pushback. This is why it's important, if you are a parent and you happen to have a trans child, or find out that you have a trans child, to be incredibly supportive of them. This is the exact same thing you need to do whenever you find out that your child is gay, or lesbian, or anything that is not considered the norm. Support of individuals in situations like this when they are discovering important facts about themselves is incredibly important, because without that support, the foundation that can allow them to operate as mentally stable human beings goes away, and you as a parent have the ability to control that environment, to control that stability. You are the first bulwark between that child and losing their foundation. When you see the video itself, the one that I showed earlier in this video, you can see that Alex is visibly upset. They are breaking, and they are breaking through no fault of their own. They are breaking because their mother is breaking them. His mother is breaking him for no reason. The only reason that the mother could possibly be doing that is because the mom wants Alex to be someone who Alex is not. Unfortunately for the mom, you're not Alex. Alex is Alex. Whatever name you gave Alex to begin with is not the name Alex has claimed for himself. Alex is his name. His name is Alex. Your job as a parent is to be supportive. Transitioning is hard enough. Even for a full-grown adult who has the support of all of their peers, transitioning is still an incredibly difficult journey. I am not trans, so I would not know firsthand, but I have many of trans friends and have had conversations with them about their journeys before. When your child is not doing anything harmful to themselves or others, they just don't happen to be living in the exact perspective that you want them to, and you decide that it's time to destroy all of their support from you, and it's time to isolate them from their friends and from their family, especially from people who actually will respect them, will respect their identity, you are engaging in abuse. Alex's mother is an abusive mother. These are abusive tactics. They are isolationist tactics. It should be known, and it should be obvious, it doesn't matter what the mother thinks her son should be addressed as. It doesn't. The son gets to decide that. That is her son's prerogative, not hers. You can try living vicariously through your children as a parent, but the end result is almost always going to be helicopter parenting and, unfortunately, abuse. I don't think I should have to say that your child isn't you, and when your child doesn't grow up into the exact mold that you want them to, then maybe you should just accept the fact that your child is in fact a different person than you, instead of trying to wrangle them in, isolate them, and only let them be with people who are going to abuse them by constantly dead-naming them, making them suffer from more dysphoria, and potentially leading them to become a suicide statistic. And you would have been one of the bricks that built the wall that led them to jump off it. I am not yet a parent, so I don't know how to properly put myself in this person's shoes, where their son simply growing into his own is enough for them to get so upset and so angry that they're willing to isolate and abuse their child. I don't know what it would take to get me to that stage. When I become a parent, maybe I'll be able to find out. Now, prior to all these incidents, the mother worked at a restaurant named Hungry Bear, and the restaurant itself decided that they didn't want to have her there at all. They caught wind of the abuse of parenting due to a series of negative reviews that had been bombarding their business in regards to her specifically, and were forced to let her go. So, congratulations, Alex's mom. You managed to not only screw over your son's life by publicly embarrassing him in front of thousands of people on the internet, you also managed to lose your method of supporting said son. Real responsible parenting. And before some galaxy-brained trogwaffle starts going on in my comments about the fact that it was actually the people who reported her that got her fired, not herself, it was her abuse of her child that led to the business having to let her go. Make no mistake, the first stone was thrown by the mother. So don't start trying to get high and mighty about her needing to keep her job because she actually didn't do anything wrong, or because this was cancel culture, or something like that. That's not how this works. You abuse your kids, people around you are going to condemn you. The easy way out of this is to not abuse your children. That's not terribly hard to do. At least it shouldn't be terribly hard to do. At time of recording, there is a change.org petition right now to try to better Alex's life and get him into a less abusive scenario where he can be himself freely and not be isolated from people around him who support him and love him. Right now, that petition is sitting at 116,000 signatures. Just take that in. You, as an abusive parent, managed to piss off 116,000 people. As opposed to just hurting your child, you've now managed to get the equivalent of a small city angry at you. You did it. You screwed up that hard. Now, I will be linking the change.org petition down below. The goal of the petition is to try to get 150,000 signatures in order to get Alex into a better and safer place. And if they already are in a safer place by the time of this recording, then all the better. But doing the math, it's sitting at 116,000 right now, and their goal is about 36,000 shy of where they need to be. So that tells me that if I've got 31,000 subscribers, then if every person who is subscribed to my channel signs that petition, then they should only be a few signatures shy of being able to reach their goal. This isn't a fundraiser. This isn't something you've got to dedicate your hard-earned money to. This is simply something that you'd have to dedicate a few minutes of your time, a little bit of time to research the actual article at hand, and then a single signature to, in order to help enact some positive change in one trans person's life. One minor's life. Someone who is currently living in an isolated and abusive situation. Now, signing the petition is the easy part. All you have to do is just sign a change.org petition so as to show the numbers of people who are in support of Alex and are against child abuse. The other half of this is to look past the individual problem. We have a single, isolated incident of child abuse with a trans minor. However, there are several hundred, potentially even thousands, more instances of this that happen every day. This doesn't just begin and stop with Alex. Do everything you can for Alex. Help. If there's a fundraiser at some point, then donate to that as well if you feel like you need to. Share out this video. Share out any other video that happens to be in support of Alex in order to let people know that at least my community is not going to stand for child abuse. The other half of the problem, though, is we need to start destigmatizing trans people. That's going to be the actual work here. The change.org thing, that's the easy part. Put in a signature, you're done. After that, we've got to actually work on changing the perspectives in the world right now. There are multiple ways you can do this. If you have a platform, talk about trans issues if it is within the content that you can actually do. Be in support of trans people. The more public figures there are that are in support of trans people, the more we can shift that Overton window, the more we can shift that perspective. Not only that, you can do things at the ground level as well. If you have pro-trans organizations around you, like say the Human Rights Campaign, try to volunteer there. Help where you can. And even if you can't get involved in an organization, if you happen to be a friend of a parent who thinks their child might be trans, talk with them. See if you can help them work through those issues so that they can end up being a supportive parent instead of an abusive one. No matter what level of influence you have, there's probably someone somewhere in your proximity where you can do something. Let's try to do what we can to make the world a better place, instead of just sitting here hoping that it becomes one. The world's not going to get better if we sit on our laurels. It can't. You need to use the tools available to you and make the world around you a better place for future generations. It doesn't just progressively get better on its own. It requires blood, sweat, tears, and time of multiple people working together for a better future. So, I gave you guys a list of things you can do. If you're an influencer, use that to your advantage. If you got an organization near you, use that to your advantage. If you've got a single person who could potentially benefit from a conversation from you, use that to your advantage. Do something. And please, don't forget to share out this video or any other video that happens to detail the information in Alex's life. Also, please make sure to share out the change.org campaign after you've signed it, as well as reading over it and making sure that you have your information straight as well. Make sure that you're doing your part. At least that would be my request to you. This video is me attempting to do my part. But that said, I think we've hit the end of the video. So please remember, his name is Alex. It's not Danica. It's not a dead name. It doesn't matter what the mom thinks in this scenario. You choose your identity. You are responsible for that, not anyone else.